Today I want to show you how to make a flying geese unit with the hand piecing method. This is the completed block. This is one that hasn't been ironed yet, so you can see how it looks. I really actually like this little crumpled look. I will press that one later, but we're going to start with these 3 patches, and I've already marked my seam allowances on the back. But this is in general how the flying geese unit looks. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to flip this over, and I want to match this bottom corner. That's the one that that needs to meet perfectly, and it's going to overlap and create a dog ear on the top. So it's the bottom corner here that you want to match. So I'm going to pin it, and I'm going to pin right here, and I think the rest of it is small enough that I don't need to really pin right there. So I'm going to grab my thimble and my needle and thread, always checking to make sure that it is knotted, and it is. And now that I'm holding this firm, you could move this pin if you wanted to, right here for now, coming right up on the stitching line. I'm going to go from the top down, right in that corner, kind of double check that it came up in the right place on the back so that you know you're accurate and that things are lined up, and back stitch, and just again that simple running stitch that just gets easier and easier every time you do it, and I find so calming to my mind as I'm sewing. I'm already going to take this one, get it out of the way, back stitch here. And I do find that it's so much easier to be really accurate with hand stitching because, you know, you are so up close and personal with that stitching line. And with a machine, you know, if you go too fast, it's so easy to veer off course. But if you veer off course here, you just pull it back out and you just get right back on track. That stitch is a little big. And it doesn't really matter if your stitches are super tiny. And again, it doesn't really matter if they are perfectly even. They are still going to hold those 2 pieces of fabric together just fine. All right, so we're coming to the end of our stitching line here. And again, I'm headed right for where my pin is coming up. I kind of run my needle right past the pin, pull it out. This is one place you don't have to worry about sewing over pins. No one's going to get hurt. And I'm going to do a quick little knot right here. Make sure I actually get it through. And again. And I'm going to clip. And then just like a machine sewn unit, you're going to want to then finger press this out. Use the little roller if you want to, and then we'll do the other side. So same thing, I'm going to match it up right here, and oh, didn't do that very well. Let me try that again. Pinning here. And I am, you know what, I'm going to pin in the middle of this unit because what we're shooting for here is, now that this is finger pressed back, that little intersection should just come right, that's how you're going to get your perfect point. It should just come right there. So you're not going to sew over the seam allowance. So I'm going to grab this, and I'm just going to do a quick rolled knot on this one. And I'm going to put my needle right in the corner, and that is coming right next to that bulky seam allowance, right there, and come right back up, always sewing from the top when you're hand piecing. I'm going to back stitch a little bit, and again we're off. And this is going to create an amazingly perfect little flying geese unit. We are going to have to cut some of those little dog ears off the top before we stitch it to another unit. Take that out. I do like really sharp, thin pins They do make, some people like those really short applique pins for hand piecing, and I can kind of see the appeal that it's less to get in your way, but just in the same way that I like long, relatively long, skinny needles, I don't really mind having longer pins. It's just all, it's all personal preference, and you just have to play around until you figure out what works for you. See, some of those stitches are not super consistent, but you know what? It's going to be fine. And here we go. We are right to the end here. I'm going to come right up at the pin, pull this out, and we'll knot it off. And we'll open it up and see how it looks. So here's my knot. Make sure I get it in there. Okay, I'm just going to go one time there. I'm losing thread here. I'm going to clip it. Okay. And finger press this back. Roll it if you want, totally optional. And I'm going to take it to the cutting table. I'm just going to trim this off and these little dog ears off, and that's how you make a flying geese unit. All right, now I want to show you how to sew 2 of these units together, okay, so that we can have it like this. So we want them like that. Again, we are going to just put them right sides together. I'm going to flip it over because I really want to see, I always like to sew on the more complicated side so that I can keep an eye on things. So again here, I'm going to pin, but my pin should really come up right in that seam line right there. So I'm not going through the seam allowance. The seam allowance is pushed the other way. So we're just going to come right in that corner there. Okay. And we're going to do the same thing on this side. And then I want this pin to come really right up at that point, okay? And that's important. Actually, I want it to come, if anything, a smidge above the point, because I would rather have a point floating than cut off by a few threads. So we're going to have to fold this back when we get there. So we're gonna feel for that. We're gonna feel for that pin. All right, so thimble, needle, okay, and I'm just going to hold this tightly, take my pin out, start from the top, and I can feel where that seam allowance is so that I don't catch it. And I'm just going to come right here to start. And we're just going to do our running stitch for a bit here till we get to that point. I'm already feeling like I want to pull that out of the way so I don't accidentally stitch anything down that I don't want to. And here we go. There we go. And all right, so we're going to come right up to that intersection, okay? And I'm going to come right up there, and I'm going to do a little tiny back stitch to strengthen there. And then I'm just going to pop right through, right on the line, or maybe the smidgest above it. Actually, at this point is a good, I felt the needle there, so I know I'm in the right place. And I'm going to put it right at the intersection and push all that seam allowance over to come up in the same place on the other side. All right. And the drill is the same on this side. I'm going to do one little reinforcement stitch. And then just sew to the end in the same way we've been doing. And now we're going to knot it. There we go. Trim. And then let's see how we did. In there, and see, you got the perfect point. And that's how you do a flying geese block.